宾、女士们、先生们，我们即将继续进行我们的论坛讨论。我们接下来将来讨论一下公链。我们邀请到的分享嘉宾呢是以太坊创始人、万向区块链实验室首席科学家 Vitalik， 协议实验室创始人 Juan Bennett，Definity 创始人、首席科学家 Dominic Williams。那几位嘉宾呢，将会分别在线上和我们来展开讨论。另外，我们用热烈的掌声欢迎我们本场圆桌对话的主持人 Hashkey Capital Singapore 首席执行官 Hashkey Group 董事总经理兼投资负责人邓超先生登台。我们接下来呢，就把时间交给邓超先生，我们一起来聚焦公链技术的创新之路。
Good afternoon here in Shanghai. Good morning and probably good evening for those online. My name is Deng Chao from Hashkey Capital. Hashkey Capital is a Hong Kong and Singapore-based blockchain investor. We are one of the earliest and biggest investor in Asia and one of the most active global investor in the blockchain space with over 200 portfolios in different parts of the world. It is my great pleasure to moderate this panel on public chains. And please welcome my panelists, Vitalik, Dominic, and Juan. For obvious reason, the COVID, they cannot make it to the stage, but still we are able to connect virtually and in a way similar to the blockchain system, a distributed way from different continents. And I think, and I'm sure you all agree, they need no introduction. According to my statistics, Vitalik has never missed our summit since 2015. This is his 7th time appearing here. And for Dominic's 3rd time and Juan's 2nd time, if my memory is correct. As in previous years, I know this panel is always one of the most expected, and it will definitely be one of the highlights of this week. Not just because you guys are the creators and founders of the blockchain world's most fundamental infrastructures and ecosystems, but also because we always look forward to hearing your vision and your insights. Today, I will be asking questions around the blockchain technology itself, applications, and ecosystem. So without further ado, let's get started. The first question is for all. Since last year's Shanghai Blockchain Week, what do you think is the most exciting development or progress in the blockchain space over the year? Can we start with Vitalik, and then Juan, and then Dominic?
Sure. So I think... So first of all, from the point of view of the Ethereum community, the biggest change that's happened is the progress that we have seen in things like proof of stake and sharding, where both of those things, or proof of stake and scaling, I'll say, both of those things were last year still mostly just theory and a few test networks. But today there is a live beacon chain, and the effort to merge the existing ecosystem into the proof of stake beacon chain is well underway. There are already starting to be test networks of it, but even before that, the proof of stake beacon chain is a network you can join, you can run a node, you can be part of it, and for scaling, like we've seen many roll-up projects already launch, and they're live. They have networks. You can join them. You can deposit. You can withdraw. So there's still a lot of things that are not finished. But we really have seen a big move from those two things just being ideas to actually being things where there is real evidence, where you can see something that has been launched, that exists, and you can actually go and use it. I think for blockchains in general, ongoing progress in zero knowledge proofs. I think like there's just so much effort in the happening and so much progress happening in that industry that the technology is just always so much better 1 year than it is a year before. Like now we're talking about using zero knowledge proofs to securely prove execution of entire virtual machines, right? So it's replacing like in big pieces of previous blockchain technology that was much harder to, or that had much weaker properties. So I think on the technology side, a lot of really amazing things happening. And on the application and usage side, just a lot of interest and a lot of many different types of people and industries coming in, and which is good, but it also means that we actually need all of these advances in technology to be able to meet that demand.
Thank you, Vitalik. Juan, please.
So I think in the Filecoin community, it's been the launch of Filecoin. Filecoin is just 1 year old. It turned one last week and a half ago. So happy birthday, Filecoin! And the network grew to 12 exabytes of capacity, which is a massive, staggering number. So this is vastly more data capacity than all of Web3, and now starts to actually compete with proper centralized cloud storage systems, so we can finally put up a fight against those. And that's about the size of what Google Cloud used to be in 2018. And so like the data usage is also growing exponentially, so that's been pretty exciting. I have to agree, the second thing I'd mention is I have to agree with Vitalik, zero knowledge proofs and the entire renaissance of different cryptographic protocols that has been happening for the last few years. It's just phenomenal. The kinds of things, the kinds of programs and protocols you can write now, and you can make entirely verifiable and private, just gives us a lot of tools and a lot of opportunities to make systems that can put control in the hands of users. Probably the most interesting part of that is to get generic, scalable, verifiable computation and zero knowledge. And so this is where really useful general purpose programming languages and getting much more efficient constructions that's been phenomenal to see that set of changes. And last, I would probably say the rise of NFTs has been just tremendously important. This can't overstate it. Probably everybody there has seen and is probably sick and tired of talking about NFTs. But I actually think this is socially, culturally, and economically extremely important because it's the beginning of large-scale internet-native property ownership that is not just kind of fungible money. And it begins with art and so on, but it will extend to everything else. It'll extend to digital spaces, it'll extend to actual physical spaces, physical property, physical land, housing, and so on. So this is just the beginning of a massive tide that'll take, of course, 5 to 10 years to develop. But I think this is a huge movement.
Thank you, Juan. Dominic, please.
Well, firstly, I agree with the points that Vitalik and Juan touched on. There's a lot of interesting things happening in blockchain generally. For me, of course, the most exciting thing is that the internet computer blockchain finally underwent Genesis in May earlier this year. And I think this is important for blockchain in very profound ways. The internet computer realizes a vision, an idea, a concept of a world computer that was first mooted 6-7 years ago, where a blockchain can act as the entire stack and will allow you to build absolutely anything using smart contract software and do so without any reliance on the corporate cloud services like Amazon Web Services. So today you can use the internet computer to build, for example, a social media service and blend it with DeFi to create a social-fi system. And what's extraordinary about the internet computer is that it runs at web speed, it's incredibly efficient, and it can scale its capacity linearly with the number of nodes in the network, which means that in principle, you could build something like Facebook on the internet computer, but you'd build it with smart contracts and it would look very different to the Facebook of today. It would be SocialFi, it would be tokenized, the users would be owners of the service and part of the team that runs it too. So, you know, the internet computer has driven this change where, you know, the blockchain is only one part of the stack. You know, when you look at dApps today, really they mostly run on the cloud. You know, the website you're interacting with is coming off a centralized cloud service or a private server machine. When you interact with services running on the internet computer, you're interacting with interactive web content that's served by smart contracts. So for example, people are running chat services on the internet computer. And, you know, a few years ago, that would have been completely unimaginable. And this means that blockchain is going to be the entire future stack. And I think that's a very profound change. Part of this as well is just the power that you can derive from cryptography. You know, the Dfinity Foundation employs the world's largest team, I think, of leading cryptographers, and the internet computer itself is powered by a lot of novel cryptography. And I think that as well, I think changes the game a bit. In the past, blockchains have just taken cryptography from the shelf. Now blockchain is beginning to develop novel cryptography itself, which is built for specific purposes.
Thank you all for your observation on both the tech front and on applications.